And there are many things to say about her, but I think her story will clear everything. Welcome you, Shweta. We are eagerly waiting for your inspirational talk on hero
Yes.
of her life.
Thank you so
Over to
much,
you, Shweta.
Prachi ma'am. Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Okay, good. My name is Shweta, not Sukanya, just to clear that out. And thank you so much for the lovely introduction and for inviting me to talk on this panel. I'm really delighted to be speaking with about 90 people from all over the globe, I think, at this moment, joining some amazing 18 panelists that I can see right now online. Tell you a story about this man who went to the moon. I think we all know his name, Neil Armstrong. And he went to the moon and he just put his thumb up like this, and he saw that the whole earth was just hiding behind his thumb. And that's when he realized that the world is so small and astronomy has much more for us to explore and look into. So basically astronomy is study of the planets and the stars and the whole universe together. Let me clear, it's not astrology. I'm talking about astronomy here. Unfortunately, many people confuse with that, so I'm just clearing it out here. Is there any way I can share my screen right now?
Yes, ma'am, just a minute. I will share
Yeah.
the rights to you.
Okay.
Yes, it's been done, ma'am.
Yes. Okay.
Go ahead.
Just a second. Let me see if I can share the right thing. Can you see my screen? It's
Yes.
it's blank right now. There's just a small video about what our work is exactly about. Of about 15 young individuals who are working together as a team in AstronEra. So I always believed that actually astronomy is beneficial for everybody in one way or the other. So it's not just a science, but I'd say it's a base of all the science and a way to live. So it could as well be a religion, you know. So being somebody in the science and learning astronomy, I have realized that the universe is so massive. And once we get into the field, we realize that we are such a tiny little part of it. I'd like to quote this scientist astronomer from the US, Carl Sagan. So he says that the iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, phosphorus in our DNA is made out of the star stuff. So even though we are such a small dot, pale blue dot in this massive universe, we are connected to it in such a great deal. So what his sentence actually translates in a simple language is that when you see the stars in the night sky or even the sun, they are made up of same elements that you yourself are made up of. And that's a huge deal here, right? So with this thought, I think that astronomy should reach out to everybody, make them realize their connection with it. And once you just look at yourself as humankind, a species, there is great deal of the issues which exist all around the globe, they just come to vanish. Because when we just study about astronomy, you realize that the boundaries in the countries, the politics, the money, finally it all does not matter. We are just a species. We have not found any alien life yet, but it might as well exist somewhere in the universe because it's so massive. So with the same thought, I kind of came up with the idea of AstronEra, that astronomy should be available for everybody, no matter if they are a tribal person or if they live in the city. what is their financial situation. Astronomy should be available to them on just one click. So I started digitizing astronomy, and that's how AstronEra came in the picture. So if you go on astronera.org, you will see that we are hosting astronomy dedicated e-learning content there. So these astronomy courses are actually audiovisual courses, and they answer the questions that have all wondered sometime or the other, like where do we stand in the universe, how to do astronomy without telescope, how to buy your first telescope, what's all in the solar system. You ask the question and we have answered it. And every year we are adding more and more courses. We are collaborating with people all around the globe who are joining hands with AstronEra and taking up this challenge to make astronomy available for everybody. So a little bit about me. I am fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society of England. I am one of the very few people from India who have received this honor, and probably I am the youngest woman to have received this honor, youngest woman in India to have received this honor. So I take really much pride into being the fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society here. Then I'm also director of AstronEra, which I just told you briefly about. I am CEO of AstronSHK Trust as well. I started these organizations when I was 16, and AstronSHK Trust is a non-profit organization, whereas AstronEra is for-profit one. So, you know, this journey is of an astronomer plus an entrepreneur. So, you know, I combined both of these together, and I like to call myself an astropreneur, being an astronomer and entrepreneur myself. I'm also a member of the Consultants Advisory Group for the Office of Principal Secretary and Principal Secretary of Science for Government of India. And I was selected as one of the top 100 women entrepreneurs of India in the Women Startup Program in 2018 by the IIM Bangalore, IIM Nagpur, and this was supported by the Department of Science and Technology as well. Moving on, I saw these and decided to solve them on my own capacity. So I saw that there is lack of scientific temperament. When the Mars orbiter mission was actually taking place, I heard about you know, how Mars is kind of not a nice graha to have in your patrika, or there were lots of people, you know, who still when they look through my telescope, and if I'm showing Mars, they are always thinking like how the Mars looks. Somebody just came to me one day and just said, I just want to see how the Mars looks from the telescope, because, you know, I am not able to get married because of it. So such incidences actually shows me how there is not enough scientific temper in the society. And in our constitution, it is written that scientific temper is actually a job for every you know, citizen of India, and that is not around. So I'm trying to solve that problem with AstronEra. Then the second issue I saw is that there is not enough awareness about the field of astronomy. As I mentioned earlier, lots of people misunderstand it with astrology, and they don't even know what are the career options in astronomy, what do astronomers do, how to become astrophysicists, and so on. So, you know, rather than going directly into astronomy education, I have to start at astronomy popularization. So, you know, before we go to astronomy education, I have to popularize astronomy, make people aware that such field actually exists, and you can choose to do your career in it. You can choose to, you know, do research in this field as well, because lots of people look at it just even as a hobby. Then, of course, there's not enough access to authentic astronomical material. If you go online and look for astronomy courses or astronomical content, you'll come across some content, but you will not know which one is authentic. Most of this content, you know, kind of over exaggerates everything. For example, you must have received some texts on what, look at the moon, it's gonna be visible in 10 different colors or so on. So such stuff is kind of misleading. And online, you will see that there is stuff available about astronomy, but it is mostly conducted by the people abroad, and hardly anybody from India is providing such content online. Then there is no easy access to the less light polluted sky. From the city, if you look up, you will see hardly 4 or 5 stars. Actually, not even stars. So what you'll actually be seeing would be planets. So right now, if you look towards west, you're going to see 2 stars, one of which is Jupiter and another one is Saturn. And then kind of in the middle of the sky, you'll see a red star kind of thing, which is again not a star, it's Mars. So, such easy things, even though they're visible from the city, and they can be really good starting point for the people to get into astronomy. Since we don't have less light polluted sky, you cannot see more stars, which is like the first point of interest of anybody. If you're just sitting under the starry night sky, it's just gonna make you wonder. It's gonna make you feel relaxed. It's gonna make you ask lots of questions about it. So, there is no easy access to that, and that is another problem that we're trying to solve. Stargazing programs, taking people out under the starry night sky, show them wonders of the universe through the telescope, and telling them more about astronomy. And how I do it is something that is unique. There are quite a few people who are working in science popularization, but I try to put science and creativity hand in hand and then popularize it. Because when you think of the word astronomy, you kind of think of lots of mathematical formulas and physics stuff, and it kind of gets complicated. And that's why lots of children kind of get scared of it, that, I don't want to go into astronomy because there's lots of hard mathematical stuff involved. But I try to take that part away, or try to put it in a creative way, so that the learning about astronomy becomes really enjoyable for you. And that's how you learn astronomy very nicely. So that's something that is unique that we do. So far, we have done more than 1,000 events of different kinds. We do school workshops, we do stargazing programs. Sometimes I just like to take my telescope out in the city on the foot, just set it up and show the moon through it, and lots of people who are passing by get a chance to look at the moon and the wonders that are in the sky. So we have organized so many programs, and we have been working since past 8 years, actually 9 years in this November. So we have been working since past 9 years and have received an amazing response. And just with all the energy that all these people who come to the program, they give so much of energy to me to keep this running, because they always want more, and we would always like to provide more. So most of this stuff that we organize is with a non-profit organization. We have also started taking special efforts to make astronomy reach to the tribal kids. I'll talk about it after some slides. We released this AstronEra website 2 years ago on 24th of November, and it was a massive launch. We organized the launch in the IEEE Chandrasekhar Auditorium, where dignitaries who have worked in ISRO and working in astronomy, who are scientists, came for inauguration. And we were also supported by IIMB, NSRCell, INFED of IIM-Nagpur. And this was the day that astronomy became. So again, I already spoke about AstronEra a bit. I would like to tell you a little bit about the types of activities that we do. As I told you, we do stargazing programs where we go outside of the city and stay the full night under the skies. We do astronomy camps, so we visit to some sites which are astronomy related, such as Lonar Meteorite Impact Crater in Maharashtra. Then we visit Giant Matter Wave Radio Telescope as well, which is located in Khorad, also near Pune. So we take students there, and we conduct small astronomy camps. From these camps, we have also got an opportunity to onboard some volunteers. So children get so excited, and they learn how to handle the telescope, how to do stargazing, and they feel like they want to work with us. And one of the volunteers who worked with us like that, I'm so happy to say that he's now studying in Kolkata, in IISER, and he is on his real journey to become an astrophysicist. And I take real pride that in saying that it was us at AstronEra, working at AstronEra, who inspired him to take up on this field. So basically what we want to do is make the knowledge of astronomy easily accessible to everyone anywhere in the world without thinking of any boundaries or any money or anything like that. Just gaze into the skies and know what astronomy is. So we digitize astronomy, and as I mentioned briefly earlier, we have people from all around the globe now who are collaborating with us. There are a few images given here on the screen, if you can see. So we have people from Israel, we have had people from the US, and also from Turkey who have collaborated with us, and they teach astronomy in short video courses. We have also had some live sessions with them, so you can interact with them. We are also trying to build a network of students who can directly ask astronomical questions to us astronomers, experts, scientists in the field, and get to know more about it. Because, you know, when you think about scientists, you actually imagine some people wearing white coats, sitting in a lab, working with some pipettes and chemicals and stuff like that. But we are absolutely not like it, you know. Look at Jayanta Naradekar sir, or look at anybody in ISRO. Actually, the website of this whole program has on the cover picture the women in ISRO who were a really important part for the Mars mission. And I was so proud to see it, because scientists look like that, inspiring people look like that. And if the children actually see that, they're going to feel more connected. They're going to feel more inspired. You know, this one time I went to a school and I was sitting on a dais, and a teacher introduced me to the children. There were about 500 children there. And the teacher introduced me, and he compared me to Jizau Mata, and he also said that he also compared me to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And I just had teary eyes, because I knew that it was too much for such comparison. I'm not absolutely at that level, but at the same time, I was being distanced by the students. The students looked at me as somebody, or they imagined me at a place where they're gonna be able to reach. But to be honest, when I was in school, I was bullied. I never had any friends. I always spent my time in the library reading nerdy astronomical books, so no one spoke with me. And I spent my whole time in that school telling these children the story of mine. And I told them that if I can do this, anybody can do this. So digitizing astronomy mostly for this, so that they don't have to be face to face to anybody, and they don't have to ask their questions and be shy about it. They can just directly reach out to us. They can study astronomy at their own pace. And I'm so happy to tell you that this image is a bit from the past, but we have about 4,000 students enrolled now from about 110 countries all around the globe. And we have been working for this since past so many years, and I think it started to pay off right now. There's been so many efforts, and all the credit goes to my whole and all these instructors who are collaborating with us.
Extremely sorry, Shweta.
Yes.
Okay, we are running a bit of time.
Okay, yeah. I'll just finish this in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yeah. So we also started this new activity called Astro and Bees. So I just backpack with my telescope, and we visit lots of resorts as well across India. We have been to Hampi, we have been to Manali, we have been to Goa and Rajasthan, and we just show the wonders of the universe through our telescope by backpacking. We have also done events in United Kingdom and Israel as well. And as I mentioned a bit earlier that we have started work with our tribals, I'm so happy to tell you that 2 tribal girls working as our volunteers. They know how to handle the telescopes, and whenever we have some programs and we are running less on volunteers, they come and join us. And they have also told me that they'd like to pursue career in astronomy, and I'm guiding them to do that. These are my mentors. I'm very sad that Dr. Govind Sarup, who's in the first image, actually passed away a few months ago, but his guidance has been and then also Dr. Raghunath Mashelkar, who actually inspired me to come up with the idea of AstronEra just with a talk. I got his appointment for 2 minutes, but he spoke to me for 2 hours, and that's how AstronEra was actually born. And I'm so lucky to have Dr. Jayanta Narayakar, who's the face of Indian astrophysics, as my mentor as well. He has visited to our office to meet our students last year. So this is something that I'm looking forward to with AstronEra. I'm looking for on-campus facility to where there is lots of stars and less light pollution, where we can do astronomy on campus. Then we have started instructor onboarding, so those who want to teach astronomy can onboard with us, and they can teach astronomy online on AstronEra. I'm also trying to build a networking platform, interactive platform for the scientists, the organizers, the students who can interact with each other and talk more about astronomy. And we are trying to affiliate our certification with renowned institutes so that those who do courses at AstronEra will gain something much more than a normal certificate from AstronEra there. So these are just a few achievements by AstronEra and me. Maybe I could just skip past that because I've already mentioned those. And I think lastly, I would like to thank my team. This is a picture that we have decided to take every year, all of us together. This year was pandemic, so last year's picture is kind of combined in that. And it's these hands and these minds which are, you know, holding the whole balance of AstronEra. And without them, my journey would have not been anything. I tried to keep this presentation and everything more about AstronEra rather than just myself. Years it has been kind of, you know, combined, me and AstronEra. So I think that was it. Ma'am, I'm really sorry if I have exceeded the time limit. I think I'll stop now.
Thank you, Shweta. And extremely sorry I misnamed you as Sukanya, but really you are Sukanya, a good quality, a girl with all good qualities. Thanks a lot from our team. We want to present you one token of appreciation.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
From our team, please accept this.
Really very, very inspiring, Shweta. Proud of you, you being from Maharashtra and having such a good startup, and all stalwarts, Mashelkar Saab, Jen Sarekar sir, everyone you have said, that's so good and inspiring.
Thank you so much. Your words really mean a lot to me. I'm posting in the chat box my website, so if anybody wants to visit, they can go there. And maybe you will also have my email ID, shweta@astronera.org. You can reach out to me as well whenever you want. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Shweta. In our segment, now we have our next speaker, Reena Dayal. She is Director, Garage Microsoft India, Quantum Computing, Leader at Microsoft India Innovation Management Expert, Founding Chairperson for IEEE Special Interest Group on Quantum Computing. Reena is a founder member and member of Governing Board Cloud Computing Innovation Council of India and also the founding member of the formal Alumni Association of India. She has been the past chairperson for the Storage Networking Industry Association of India and also patent holder, and she is the author of the book Innovation Magic, the Science and Art of Innovation Management. I welcome you, madam. Now,
thank you. Hi, happy to be here. Is there a way I can share my screen? If you could pass the presentation rights to me.
Yes. We are making you presenter. Yes, okay. Now you can present.
Just a second. So, and let me get the presentation going. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, it's visible.
All right. So first of all, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody, depending on where you are joining from. And I wanted to take the opportunity to thank the IEEE Nagpur section I'm also an IEEE volunteer, and I think this is a great event, and thank you for inviting me. I wanted to take the time today to talk a little bit about, emerging technology, innovation, and women leadership. And this is a message from an engineer. I'm an engineer, and despite holding leadership positions in different domains, I think in my heart I continue to be an engineer. And it's a talk about self-empowerment. So I'll talk about certain scenarios, and I will use examples from myself and from the lives of other women leaders that I have come across, and talk about how the environment is changing today and what do we all need to do to remain relevant. And some of this is not just relevant for women, but for men as well. So, the world is changing around us. There was a time when we had a very clear distinction of which are the technology companies and which are the companies, which are end user companies and so on. And over the last few years, what we've seen is that there has been a shift. There is a lot more, blurring of boundaries that is happening across different businesses. And essentially today, every company is in some ways a tech company, right? I mean, 10 years ago, if somebody said, a retail company is a tech company, we would have laughed at that, but then everything is dominated by e-commerce, and even the brick and mortar retailers actually use technology in a manner that was never used before. I mean, Amazon Go is a good example of that, right? And even the way Flipkart markets itself today from an e-commerce perspective, now, there's so many different technologies that are becoming part of e-commerce as well. So that evolution is happening, and it's not just restricted to the retail segment. We're talking about just about any business. So the role of technology is becoming more prominent. The other thing is, when we always talk about women in leadership, especially, we focus on, what you need to do as a leader in your career and things like that. The reality is that we are all human beings and we live in an environment, we live, we work, we lead a life, and, it's all a composite. It's not really segregated from each other. We used to have these, we have these very common conversations around home life, home work balance, right? And the thing is that, especially COVID has proven this to be a fallacy, but even otherwise, the whole concept of home and, home life and work life being, completely separate has never really existed. And as technology has evolved, where you have technology at your fingertips, you whether you like it or not, you will get up in the morning and sometimes check emails, right? And then start your day. So in some senses, there's a lot more home and work integration that is happening. And how do you make that manageable for people without it becoming overwhelming is a bigger concern for how technology needs to be deployed. And what it also means for every individual is that it's brought a very strong focus from an individual perspective on how do you live your life and what is it that you want out of it, right? And career and what you do and how you move forward in your career is just one aspect of that whole continuum that is life, right? The other question that this raises is, with this whole churn that is happening, what does leadership truly mean in this new context? Some of the old contexts of what leadership attributes are required may no longer be valid. We have to really look at leaders who can, thrive in this environment, which is a lot more chaotic. There's a lot more change happening on a daily basis, and it might change even more. So we discussed work, we discussed home. Society and industry is changing. We talked about industry changing. How is society changing? Every time there is a revolution of technology, life changes. So when the internet, 50 years ago, 1969 was the first time DARPA had actually put forward a blueprint of what a connected network, connected PCs would look like, connected machines would look like. And now 50 years later, we have internet in a manner where we don't even think about it as an end consumer. Right? So how has society changed that? The reach of technology to every home, the fact that today India is not just a mobile first country, but for a large section of the population, it's a mobile only country, which means people use mobile as the primary computing device for themselves. And the kind of penetration that the mobile devices have has changed the way small and medium enterprises work, changed the way people get educated, right? There's a lot of online education, which was already happening even before COVID, took its changed the way we educate. So society is changing. And in all of this churn, what does leadership need? Let's look at the industry. So, it's very easy to extrapolate some of these trends and say, AI, IoT, blockchain, some of the big names that are there, they're changing. With IoT, life is changing even further. You now can put sensors everywhere. If you have robotics, you can get a lot of jobs done by robots, which are, which are high risk jobs, for example, or jobs which are repetitive in nature in the factory floor, or even other jobs which make life simpler could be done by robots, right? Now, so this is again going to change the way we live life. But imagine quantum computing, right? When you're talking about something like quantum, which is going to actually, once we have a scalable quantum computer available, we are going to see a phenomena where we can solve some of the most difficult problems of the world. We may be able to mimic nature in how we do, how do we create fertilizers. We could be able to increase the lifespan of people by doing genetic analysis and creating much more preventive measures for people for various kinds of diseases and so on and so forth. So with all of that happening, we might see a very, very different shift in the way we lead our lives, right? So business is going to change. Where's the next slide? Okay, let's look at what's happening in the society. So there is an accelerated rate of change, and we already talked about the fact that with the change in technology, societies get impacted. They change in, the societal structure changes as we start adapting more and more of these technologies. But we're also seeing longer time spans, lifespans, right? And you look at this figure, if it is life expectancy figures, which are from the UN World Population Prospects 2008, I just picked that one up. I could probably pick up a more updated one. But what it tells you that, from an average lifespan of ranging from 40 to 70, we are now seeing an average lifespan ranging from 70 to 90, right? And it's not uncommon to hear about centenarians. A lot of people number of people who are crossing 100 is much higher now, right? And this is obviously happening because there's better medical care available, better medicines, better lifestyle awareness and stuff like that. All of that is happening. Look at the way we used to perceive work in the previous generation. We used to perceive work, hey, you get married, you have kids, you are working, and then you retire, and then by the time you retire, you don't want to work any longer in any case, right? But that's no longer true. Imagine retiring at 60 and living on till 100. That means for 40 years, you'll not do anything. It's not just about not doing anything. It's also about, imagine a researcher or somebody who's doing very specific work in a very, very special technology or a special science, and they have this wealth of knowledge, and they have the stamina and the energy to keep on working. So these things are already shifting. We see a lot more people in their 70s and their 80s actually continue to do work. So that shift is happening. It's still very marginal. It's there in that upper layer. You're seeing it in very specific areas. But and while organizations may be gearing up for that, the governments are, the various nations are gearing up for, what to do with the, how do we have these, people working for a longer duration? What does it mean, and how do we address that? I think the conversation is starting everywhere. It's not really reached a conclusion. But that's not the focus of our discussion. The focus of our discussion is the individual, which is you and me. And the focus here is, what does career mean to you now, right? If you had to focus on your career for 20 years, you would take a very different look at it. But if you had to focus on a career which could span 50 years or 60 years, how is that going to change how you look at your career? So first of all, there will be no single careers. There will be multiple careers in a lifespan. So, all this talk about, hey, while you're young enough, think about how you can change direction if you want to. You will not be able to change direction once you've crossed a certain age. That's no longer true. You can see a lot of people actually changing their work stream in multiple directions. I happen to have, I've not really moved away from the technology industry, but I know Sukanya is on this call. Nice to see her. I was part of TCS for 22 years. And in TCS, I was known for, even though I did different things towards the end, my brand got built for storage networking. So the people would still, they'd say Reena, and they'd say, yeah, the person who does storage, right? I mean, who's associated with storage networking. And today, if you hear me, if you ask people in Microsoft and elsewhere in the ecosystem, they'll associate me with quantum along with, innovation, right? So I think that's a complete shift in terms of the kind of technology focus that is there, because quantum requires a physics background, which I don't have, by the way. Not in an educational perspective, but it happens to be an area of my interest, which I've built my capabilities on in the last few years. So careers can look very different as we move forward. And one of the things that we need to get comfortable with is the fact that that's not a negative thing. That's an opportunity for people to reinvent themselves. It's quite possible that you missed your calling in the early part of your career, and maybe you have an opportunity to do something really spectacular in your second career choice, and so on and so forth. We're also talking about phenomenal stressors, right? And when you talk about stressors of that kind, because of this whole work-life integration thing that we're talking about, and the fact that jobs do not look the same, they will not look the same as we move forward. So there's a need for adaptability, a very strong need for adaptability. Now, this whole talk till now has been focused on, hey, how is the environment going to change? What do people need to do? They need to think about multiple careers. They need to know how to manage stress much better and look at life as a holistic mechanism, not just focus on, okay, these are the decisions for my career, or these are the decisions for my life, for the rest of my life. But, how do you integrate all of these together to create more meaning for yourself? And of course, having practices like mindfulness, etc., plays a strong role for that. I personally use that as a mechanism for handling, being able to handle complex situations. The other aspect is building your brand, right? I talked about how my brand was storage networking, and it happens to be, quantum and innovation right now. And what does the brand do to you? I think the reason why I talked about emerging tech and women in leadership is because for me, that has given me the niche, right? So that has given me a differentiator, and it has helped me build a brand for being able to work in a completely new area and to establish that as a business and incubate that business within an organization. And that has worked for me. And what I believe many women struggle with is saying, how do I create a different brand for myself? What should be the differentiator for me? I'm having challenges getting known. I do the work and it is not visible. How do I make my work more visible? So I think I found the easy way out. I worked in an area which nobody was working on. People were questioning, why are you working on this at that point in time? Same I'm doing right now. People kept questioning me as to why I was investing my time and energy on quantum like 3 years ago. But then that has helped me build my brand. So I think the learning from here is finding a differentiator or a niche for yourself, which should be aligned with your purpose. You should feel happy doing that work, because the work that is aligned to your purpose does not seem like work. You will do it on a Saturday. You will do it on a Sunday. You will find time to do it, right? So I think it doesn't seem like work. It happens effortlessly. And I also believe that if you found your purpose and you're working on something, the universe conspires towards making it happen for you as well, right? but it has to be coming from a place of doing something for everybody else. If the focus is, hey, this is the path to take so that I can become a CEO, or this is the path for me to take so that I can become so and so, that's not really purpose. That's your ambition. That's your that could be your ambition. It could be. It could have a very strong element of ego associated with it. And usually things, if we plan for the long term, may not really work out the way we want them to. I mean, this year, a lot of people would have planned a lot of things, but COVID has its own story to say, and things may not work out, may not have worked out for people. All the plans may not have worked out. So at the end of the day, I think it's very important for people to know themselves. What is it that really excites them? What is it that they feel really passionate about, and find their purpose and focus on it? Just to give you an example, I'm not just saying it for saying sake. I actually had a conversation with somebody, a very senior mentor, who advised me, even in the IEEE role, to focus on something else. And I told him, right now I'm trying to make sure that this quantum thing takes off, and India and the group in India gets recognition for the work that we are doing, and we are able to create an ecosystem, right? And I don't care, if there are more junior people, I don't care who else is in which position, but I need to focus on this to get the work done. And believe me, I get great satisfaction out of doing that. And so I have left. I have actually decided to focus on things which are more aligned to my purpose and which I'm passionate about, where I feel that my presence is going to make a difference. And when I'm doing something, it is actually moving something forward, and it is changing the environment, right? And just to give you a little bit of background, I have over the last 2-3 years enabled a lot of education in quantum, including getting courses done, started off in IIT Roorkee, in IIIT Hyderabad, on quantum computing for the engineering students, got given opportunities for projects, two students to, do internship. I've also recently gone ahead and arranged for a train the trainer program for a group of NITs and other engineering colleges. Around 400 faculty across India have been trained on what a quantum computing course should look like in the engineering ecosystem in India. And very recently, IEEE, we have this Quantum Week, which is a major international conference. I kept pushing for a change for the students, and they've actually changed giving access to that material. Through IEEE, we are providing access to that material to all the students and other professionals in the APAC geography in region 10 to instead of a 400 USD to a 60 to 70 USD. So those are the things that I've been doing for the ecosystem, and it's a great feeling to be able to do that. There are doubts very often when you look at what else can you do and things like that. But I think working on your passion and understanding what your purpose is are very key. Sorry, what is happening to the... So this we've already talked about. One of the things that I didn't talk about is sustainable solutions. I think the World Economic Forum is already talking about the fact that organizations don't, are meaningful only if they're looking at sustainability and longer-term sustainability for the Earth, for this planet. So I think there's a big focus on sustainable solutions. Summary: find your purpose, find a unique differentiator for yourself. If you're stuck, look at an area that competition is less. If as a woman you're struggling and you feel that, look for an area, work on something that nobody wants to work on, and you'll have less competition. And usually this involves doing good, okay? Because there's always less competition for that. Nurture people, because any leader is only as strong as the people who work for them. Servant leadership. If you can build more leaders, if you can create more leaders, then you are actually a phenomenal leader. Leverage emotional intelligence, understand that, life is a combination of a lot of things, and then create win-win scenarios. If you have a strong network, first of all, network with people. And when you network with people, create win-win scenarios. whatever you do, people should remember you that, hey, this person impacted my life positively in a certain manner. And believe me that when you want to leverage this network for making something happen, they will be there for you to make that happen. And that's the power of the network. But it has to be in a win-win scenario, not, okay, today I need something from somebody, so I actually leverage them and then I forget about them. That's not how it works. So that's it from my side. I'll take a pause here. I
Thank you,
don't know if
Reena.
you're addressing questions right now, Prachi.
We are running out of time, so we are taking at the end because the next speaker is waiting for this
Sure.
next
Yeah.
session.
All right.
So thank you, Reena, for enlightening us with your informative speech and informing us about society changes in the coming decade, career focus, and the importance of brand, quantum computing. On behalf of the complete WIILS team, I would like to present you a virtual memento as a token of love.
Manoj sir, please, can you please share the presenter right to me? Dr. Manoj?
Yes, ma'am, doing that.
So audience, you just put
Thank
your
you, sir.
questions in the chat because we are running out of time. So we are not able to take right now.
Reena,
So
that
thank you,
was
Reena
really
madam,
great.
for sparing your
Okay.
time with us. So we are going to present you this virtual memento as a token of appreciation from our whole team. Thank you once again. Thanks for your
Thank
precious
you.
presence.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now I want to welcome our next speaker. My collection is all about vibrant colors, young layouts, and unconventional concepts, dressing people in style with an element of fun. They are a collection of real customers and not just the RAM. These are the vibrant words of the Varija Bajaj in the world of fashion industry. Varija Bajaj, founder Varija Life Delhi, New Delhi. She is the well-known name in the fashion industry. I welcome Varija for the next session. There is many more to say about her, but because of the running time, I hand over mic to Varija.
Thank you.
Varija?
Thank you so much. Is there a way I can switch on my video?
Yes. There is a video option.
I
Manoj,
somehow am not
ensure,
getting it.
Manoj, ensure that she switch on her video.
Okay, ma'am.
Ma'am, Varija ma'am, please, you can see at the bottom where we can mute
Start
and
video.
unmute ourselves. Start video.
Varija
No,
ma'am,
so
we have requested you also. You can see.
I somehow am not getting that option. I'm only getting the audio option, and then I'm going to connect to a video system, and then it's
No,
taking
no.
its.
It is right there at start video. You don't need to go to option.
Mm,
Just assign the mute button.
On the bottom line, ma'am.
ma'am, I'm not getting the video option. Should I disconnect and connect again?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Okay, please.
Sure. Give me a minute.
Okay, till that my time, I will just introduce more about Varija madam. Uh, Varija Bajaj has been honored with the Daily Gaurav Award for her immense contribution to the fashion industry. She has also been awarded with the Women Achievers Award for the fashion by VLCC. She has won the DLA Woman of the Year Award by DLA Media. She has also won one Build India Award. She has been announced as the top 100 innovators by the World CSR Congress for her contribution to the disability awareness. Recently, she was awarded the Economic Times Label Award for her brand office and you in 2019. So we have very good personality with us to empower us. So dear participant, be tuned with us for this next session. Participants, if you have any query regarding previous sessions, just put in the chat window. And request to everybody, fill the feedback forms.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yes. Yes,
Yes.
madam.
Hi.
Yes,
Sorry.
yes, Varija.
Yeah. Video is also visible. Welcome you once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prachi.
Over to you, madam.
Sure. So thank you so much for inviting me for this session. And I've been asked to speak on entrepreneurship. So a lot of people have their own whims and fancies about being an entrepreneur, and a lot of people want to jump into that space. So did I 17 years ago, and I thought being an entrepreneur was all about being the boss. You know, I'll be the boss and I'll dictate things around, and life will be very easy. And I still remember we started on the 14th January, 13th January. I was sweeping the floors of my office because I wanted to welcome my staff in a spick and span office. So just to give you a feeler, I think being an entrepreneur is being everything from the peon to the boss. So it is not just being the boss, it is about everything else. So I think that was the first day I realized that no, it is not just about dictating and getting things around. It's more to that. I think another learning in 17 years that I have sort of witnessed and I can say is that the boss is not allowed to say no. The boss cannot say that this is not possible. An entrepreneur cannot say this is impossible or let's just leave it. Every organization has the option to say that. Everyone else in the organization at some point can give up, but the boss cannot give up. An entrepreneur cannot give up. So the word impossible doesn't really exist in your dictionary. Always keep coming back to you and saying that this is not possible, or we've tried our level best, but it's not working out. That's when probably 8-10 doors have closed, and that's when you need to find out solutions for the most impossible things. And somehow I think that has also led to a lot of things that I have been doing, and my career got made with that attitude. So I can't really give you a clear cut diktat of this is what it is, or this is how it is supposed to be. But I think what has worked well for me is what I would like to share. So, I'm a management graduate who decided to pursue my career in design with absolutely zero knowledge of what fashion designing is all about. I was as bad as not knowing the difference between cotton and polyester when I started my career. I remember I used to make frantic calls to my mother. You know, what is terracotta? What is rubia? Okay, you make the blouse in this. Okay, what in what fabric do you make the petticoat? So she used to guide me, and then of course it was also the beginning of you know usage of internet, extensive usage of internet, the data became very accessible, thankfully. And at some point, I think I would get frantic about, not knowing some intensively researching and finding out and getting into the depth of what I don't know. So I had this paranoia to master things that I don't know, treading into a no man's land. I really wanted to be confident. So I did a very extensive research on clothing, on apparels, on design, etc. And I created my own formulas of design, my own formulas in the industry of fashion. In fact, very early on, prior to doing my, I did consider going to some of the fashion colleges here in the country. As destiny might have it, I didn't get. So a lot of people also ask me this question, that how do you take failure in your stride? After so many years, I think it is very easy for me to say that you don't really need any external validation from anybody in this world. So no award, no marks, no validation from anybody can give you the satisfaction that you yourself can. As long as you're growing, as long as you're better than what you are, I think that is all that really matters, because the colleges that didn't give me admission are the colleges that invite me today to speak or to teach them or even to sometimes design their curriculums. So I want a validation from those colleges, not quite really. But I was pretty passionate about what I was doing, and not to impress anybody, not with a reverse snobbery. It just happened that the destiny took a full circle, and I am, in the same colleges where probably I was not even supposed to study. I'm teaching in those colleges. So, I started reading a lot about fashion and created my own concoctions. That's entrepreneurship for me. I remember 6 years ago, during Diwali, around this time of the year, we decide to give some gifts to the media, to our clients, and, certain people with regards to work. And we thought we want to give something personalized. And we are into women's clothing, but there were a lot of men that we had to gift. You do all these Diwali giftings. And we decided to make cushion covers, very simple, plain cushion covers, but, something personalized. And we had sent it to about 200 people. And then I was wondering, what would we say to these people? Why are we sending them cushions? And I said, okay, let's just say that we've launched a home furnishing line and you're the first privileged ones to get the first lot of our home furnishing. And we leave it at that. And we'd sent about 200 cushions, and we got orders worth almost 2,700 cushions on that. And I was like, wow, that's a whole new business arena that we can explore. People are liking our cushions, and it's fairly easy. Constructing clothes is a lot difficult because you have to structure the garment. Now, making a cushion is fairly simple. It's like 4 stitch lines and you're through, you're done. So there's no rocket science in really making cushions. And we thought we'll probably, with no additional infrastructural cost, because we're anyways into apparels, we will just make home furnishings and we will sell it online. And when we started doing that, we only knew about bridal clothing, because very early on we were only selling wedding clothes. That was one of our apparel brands, that's Varija Design Studio. So we were doing wedding exhibitions. I'm sure in your city you have these wedding exhibitions. So here in North you have the Viva and the Bridal Asias and the Wedding Asias and all these wedding exhibitions. And we thought that, okay, fine, let's just test the market. We're displaying our apparel line. Let's take a stall and display our cushions line. And we only knew cushions. We didn't even know how to do the bed sheets. And the clients, they came up to us and they said that, can you make complementing bed sheets? The next one came, can you do complementing curtains? Now, so as an entrepreneur, on hindsight, I'll say I never said no. I said, okay, fine, we've not done it. We were always very honest. We've not done it, but there's no rocket science. Sure, we can do it. The next project came that, okay, fine, since you're doing the entire bed, do you know somebody who can make a bed for us, can create furniture for us? So I had few designs in my mind. I said, we can give it a shot. We can design a bed. I mean, I just got my carpenter, saw a few YouTube videos, made him watch it because even he had not made a bed earlier. And we created a bed. And it was a beautiful bed we made with 1,500 pencils, pastel color blue and a pastel color pink pencil to be for a teenage. The client really liked it and they said, okay, we quite like what you've done to this room. Can you do a drawing room, painted and, with a fresh PO and the dining tables and the flooring? I said, so now this was progressing from just sheer cushions to the next level of interiors. And I said, sure, we can do it. We've never done this before, but there's no rocket science. And then we did that. They loved it. They wanted us to do the balcony. We did the balcony. Next thing you know, we are doing the terrace garden. Then they wanted us to do some repair work. And then she said, can you do the elevation change? We have a very old elevation of the building. It's an old building. We just wanted to look very modern. I said, okay, we've not done it and we're not the technical people, but definitely we can hire some technical people. And we hired some architects and engineers. And we ended up doing this entire project. And all we did was we just posted a few pictures on Instagram and here and there on the social media. Next thing we know is somebody reached us out and they said, we have an empty plot. Can you construct a 3-floor building for us? We really like your work and your aesthetics are very nice. We said, okay, we've not done this, but sure, there's no rocket science. So that was the beginning of our interior project. And I think another example of, what all you end up doing when you begin your journey as an entrepreneur. I think another area that I work very closely on is disability awareness. So I thought that if I'm blessed to people who can design, I am also blessed to design for people who can speak like you and me. It's all about understanding human psychology and understanding their needs, and more often than not, understanding their needs without they actually spelling it out. So we try to understand the subconscious need of the consumer and try to render that into a creation. And I thought that if I'm blessed to design for people who can speak, maybe I'm blessed to design for people who cannot speak. What about somebody sitting on the wheelchair the entire day? What kind of clothes that person should wear? An autistic child, they have very special needs. Down syndrome child, they have very different body structure. They have an eagle chest. So, who's designing? And I then started reading, my paranoia about the subject. I started reading about it and I realized that there was very little literature about the subject online. And I'm talking 17 years ago. And then I started reading and writing and etc. etc. I never thought of this as a profession. I still don't think of it as a profession. And in 17 years, I realized that there was not much work that is done on this subject. And I also realized that I have ventured into, I've opened a Pandora's box, because when I was studying the need of persons with disabilities, I realized that it's not just clothing needs. They have other needs, accessibility needs, the needs to be included as part of the mainstream society. Awareness. A lot of people, they don't know what is autism. They don't know what is cerebral palsy. A simple term that a lot of people, layman, would use is this person is mental. This person is pagal hai. They would just leave it at that because they don't know the technicalities and they don't know how to deal with such issues. And they're most people. I mean, it's just that something's going on in their mind, which is why they behave. Their motor nerves don't work proper, or then the neuro connections are weak. But you and me, we don't know about it. And I thought I could contribute to their lives by creating some impact. So I reached out to all the colleges that I was teaching. I was teaching in about 27 fashion colleges. They got together to do a research on clothing for persons with disabilities last year. Next to impossible. I mean, I have nothing to do with this subject, but I think somewhere the colleges believed in it. And then we reached out to the ministry, and the ministry said, what a brilliant thing to do. You know, we would like to introduce this to all the fashion colleges across the country. Entrepreneurship. I mean, I didn't quite have much knowledge myself, but I got people to do things together. And to take this further, we are working on something called the National Ability Summit, which is on the 2nd and the 3rd of December now, on the International Disability Day, covering various areas of disability awareness. So it's got clothing, it's got films, you know, more films should be made on this subject, and what films have been made on disability worldwide. There was one that was created in India, which is quite a benchmark, like Tare Zameen Pe. Nobody had heard of dyslexia before Tare Zameen Pe, and today every mother is paranoid that my child is writing in the opposite direction. So everybody knows what's dyslexia. So why should not more such films be made on this subject? Assistive technology, you know, all of us have got, and digital accessibility. We don't talk about digital accessibility as much in India as much people do, you know, our Western counterparts do. So post the lockdown, how everything and everybody were dependent on virtual reality. We are talking or interacting virtually, but what about people with disabilities? What if somebody who's blind, how will they, you know, deal with things virtually? What if somebody doesn't have a hand or doesn't have two hands, the person is an amputee? How will they access things on the laptop? So I started reading about it, again my paranoia, and I realized that there is a whole new world called digital accessibility. So you know, Microsoft has a feature. So let's say if you're colorblind, Microsoft gives you an option of reading the text in any color that you want. So you might be colorblind on color red, but you can see the text in color green. And there is another headgear that they've made, that if you don't have in hand or both the hands, how do you access? So with your head movement, you wear that headgear, and with your head movement, you can actually, it works as a mouse, and you can still operate the computers. Now that is digital accessibility. India is completely oblivious of, you know, such kind of things, and such a large segment of the society, I feel, is not being included in the mainstream, and they could be such huge even economy generators. So it's not just about their own well-being, but I think well-being of the society and a country as a whole. Whole new different space, has got nothing to do with apparels now, because we got into a completely different space, and that was the beginning of Varija Life and different projects under Varija Life. Again, entrepreneurship. So I think, in short and summing it all, you know, in as long as you're living, as long as somebody else has achieved it, whether it's a Neil Armstrong, whether it is an engineer, whether it is a doctor, today everything's just a click away for you to find out any information. If anybody in the world can achieve it, you can achieve it. That is entrepreneurship. As long as you're not on the ventilator, as long as you're not in the ICU, and you know your mental system is not in your hand, damn, anything is possible. I mean, in short, I mean, the Prime Minister inspires us in a country where, you know, there are so many things. A man with, you know, he was a tea seller. If he can become the Prime Minister, I don't think there should be anything that should be stopping us all. So on that note, I wish all of you a great journey ahead, and remove the word no from your dictionary, remove the word impossible from your dictionary. And if somebody says, I will try it, don't ever say that I will try it. No. If the moment, so even in my office, if somebody says, okay, ma'am, I will try it, that means you've already prepared grounds for a failure. I will do it. There is no other choice. So please go ahead and have a great learnings ahead in your career as an entrepreneur. It's a very exciting journey, not to prove to anyone else.
Thanks, Varija. Thanks for sharing your entrepreneurship. Thanks for sharing your entrepreneurship story and how entrepreneurs and experience and whatever suggestions you have given. It's really important for us. Now, on behalf of a complete ILS team, I would like to present virtual memento to us, to you. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
Please accept our memento. Thanks once again.
Thank you. Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
Now I welcome our next speaker, Sukanya S, Global Head, Delivery Governance, TCS, Chennai, India. Sukanya is a computer technology and informatics engineer from the Varija University. She is responsible for driving excellence in service delivery and overall governance of key programs and initiatives in TCS. Since her early days in TCS, S. Sukanya is known for her being accomplished leader in the realm of technology. I welcome you, Sukanya. Over to you, madam.
Thank you, Prachi. If you can help me share.
Yes. Manoj sir, please make madam presenter.
Yeah, thank you. Just give me a minute. Is it visible?
Yes, you are visible,
Yeah.
madam.
Yeah. Afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. What a series of passionate speakers. I think Shweta, Reena, and Varija, hats off to. So nice to hear each one of you what you've accomplished in your career and how passionately you've done it. I think these are nuggets of examples that this session is really about how empowerment, how women in engineering can really scale heights, right? And Varija did speak about it's not just about engineering, you could visualize entrepreneurship in any area that you want. My talk is really about when I reflected on this track on empowerment, but the larger thing of international leadership, engineering, as well as empowerment and leadership. I wanted to share with you not just personal experience, but important for the audience and people to realize that it's so much about it's not so much about women, it's also about how we are able to nurture talent and what opportunities lie ahead. So my talk is really about that. But first to say that with the context of women in engineering, I think I see this as a very great starting point, and I'm sure many of you in the panel, as well as other speakers between yesterday and today, would relate to this, because I think this itself is a starting point. If you are an engineer, if you have a well qualified education, and I think that is pretty much a given or a minimum in India today, because we rely on a very strong educational background. I think that itself is a very great starting point. It's a platform on a platter for all of us. And I think once that is really amplifies and provides this opportunity to do a lot more. And from there on, it is really about us as an no, and an individual to really pick from there and keep moving on, right? And I think that is very, very important. And if I have to really move on from there into empowerment, and I think Shweta alluded to it, Reena spoke about it, Varija also, not so much about empowerment. It's not something that is visible, ask for it, and it's not necessarily something that is given to you because you have a role or a position that has been taken, right? And empowerment is really about how you're able to demonstrate just the need that is there, and no, I think that is very, very critical. And no, if I look back on my own career of 30 years in TCS, it is really about at every stage, and it's not just empowerment in my 29th year or 25th year of TCS. I think every year it is really about how I feel that I'm empowered to do certain things. Very important decisions that are taken in a project, very important decisions that are taken during customer meetings on proposals that we may have to win. I think that is very, very important. And I think that is when empowerment gets visible, empowerment is then demonstrated, I think, and it's actually felt. And it's not just because you are the project leader or the project manager for a large program, or you are the sales guy on the ground selling a large deal gets you an empowerment. And I think that is very, very important, and a very strong trait in every individual who's looking for no success on field, whether it is technology, whether it is astronomy or any other area, right? And Varija spoke about how no, she has been able to no, move on from apparel to home furnishing to really actually doing the landscaping, and now Varija life. I think that is really about how you position yourself, and each of us can relate to this, and that is very, very important. What I want to set the context to why I'm saying all of this is that no, if you reflect back, and as an organization like TCS, you know, we are a global player. We are no 25 billion plus organization, and for many of you, you may think it is just no, a question of no, things moving on seamlessly. But for us internally, it is not necessarily the case. We'll have to plan well to make things happen. And when I think it was very, very important for us to change, and for you will realize for a large organization like TCS, it is not easy to bring that kind of a change. And that is where I think excellence, rigor, process makes a lot of difference. And in the context of TCS, let me just no, give you a feel for the kind of scale that we are talking about. We are about 450,000 associates globally, right? And it's not just India and the US or UK or Europe, but every no, large country we have operations in. And we are close to no more than 35% women workforce in TCS. Very proud of no, the numbers. And today, if you see, 95 close to no 96% of our workforce are working from home or remotely. And this actually what happened when COVID lockdown was announced around third week of March, right? March 22nd, 23rd. We had very less time to actually change gears and make this work. In less than 72 hours, there was a task force formed and decisions made to actually shift a lot of what we were doing in premises within large facilities. And I'm sure all of you know the large TCS facilities in each of your cities. We had to literally move and enable people to work from home. And today, 96% of our workforce actually work, and there is very few people who need to come, and that is also largely because we're doing very, very no, secure programs for no, projects for some of our customers. It could be no, some government organization, it could be a bank. So for some of them, there is some work that is happening, but otherwise, very large set of work is actually working from home. And what does this, that is where I really want to know my story about the opportunity comes in. The enablement has happened today where it just doesn't matter for our customers where work is done. At the 70s and 80s, it was largely about how TCS and IT industry in India really picked on the mainframe wave, mainframe wave, and also the offshoring wave, and said, let's do work from India. But then from there, the Y2K phenomena and the e-business, e-commerce phenomena picked up very strongly, and a large part of operations for many of the IT services organizations moved a lot of work to India. But today, if you look at it, and and I think COVID also has necessitated a lot of companies in this industry to really make it location independent. It is about how services, projects are delivered for our customers, and no more about whether the team is there physically in UK or in their own center in Shanghai, or whether it is in Mumbai. So the teams which were, even if it was a 40-member team or a 2,000-member team, it just didn't matter anymore where they are from. And what is the secret sauce of all of this? We've come up with a very strong operating model called secure borderless workspaces. And this really has made the whole work culture borderless. Imagine for an organization like TCS and many of our peers, where it was largely about having a huge facility, huge campus where 25,000, 40,000 of the workforce actually come in and day out, and to deliver meaningful outcomes for our customers. And from there, we've actually moved into a situation where we're really about secure borderless workspaces. What does this mean for you and me? I think that is really the question that each of you would really be looking for. And what does it mean for generations to come? This actually puts in a global opportunity for the workforce. And I think this is kind of diminished or eradicated completely the concept of I am in Chennai, and I have an aged mother-in-law to take care of, and there isn't a possibility for me to move around, right? That kind of a constraint just goes away for anybody and everybody. So it's a global opportunity for the workforce. It's really about talent on cloud, and that's how TCS has visualized the whole availability that TCS for any customer requirements that we have, whether it's the quantum computing that Reena spoke about, or whether it is a cloud migration that we need to do for our customer, or the largest transformation that we need to do for a bank. It is really about talent on cloud. I no longer have to be worried about whether I have the best team that can be assembled in Bengaluru, or whether I need the best team to be there in London tomorrow. It no longer matters. It's about how I can bring the best of the best that I have in TCS and make that talent available on. There is a lot more that is the thinking going on around this, where we really see how fungibility around the whole services that we provide is actually coming in. But I think that is something under works. And how is this enabled? The enablement is really based on location independent delivery practices that we have come in with, which brings in a lot more governance to what delivery that we do, and also strongly powered by anytime, anywhere learning that is very critical for our workforce. So which means that I no longer need to for the newcomers that come in every year, every month. It is no longer important that they're all packed off to Thiruvananthapuram or Mumbai. They're learning, but this learning is going to be anywhere, anytime, and they're just having learning on the go. So a lot of enablement has been on works for quite some time in TCS, and I think that has given us the jump start. And I see this as an opportunity for a larger part of TCS, untapped potential that is there. I think every time I talk to many of the younger generations, especially women who've been in TCS or in the industry for 8 to 10 years, and they have moved on to take care of their personal life. I think it is now time for them to really reflect on how do they actually make more meaning into their career, because there is so much of talent available. And I think this is a great opportunity for the untapped talent in India to be leveraged for global opportunities as well. Let me move on to give you a glimpse of what the operating model, opening the apps a little bit, and then a lot about what I'd spoken earlier about how stronger service delivery focus is coming in. We're providing a secure environment. It also means we will have to govern and monitor a lot more about how our workforce and associates are working. A lot more engagement is happening, right? And they are no longer physically in the premises for us, so which means that we will have to be in touch with them on a day-to-day basis, many times, a couple of times in a day. A lot more associate engagement activities are going on, and a lot of this is seamless our workforce, right? And we've just not stopped there. I'm sure many of you have heard about this. Our CEO and COO speak about this during the analyst and events. It's really about how we're stretching ourselves to a 2025 vision, where we're saying that we are seeing a world where we think only 25% of the workforce need to come into work. At any point in time, 25% of the team, it's enough if they spend time at work. We also are looking at how a lot more enablement, automation can come in, which means that there is higher levels of productivity. So I think with that, I will actually wrap up. But the message is really about how there is enough and more opportunity. I think in this crisis, when all of us have had so much to endure in these last 9 months, I think this is definitely a silver lining, I would say. And I would actively encourage all of you to engage and spread the word that there is opportunity for the untapped talent, and for people to rethink and reskill and make themselves relevant to the larger cause. So with that, thank you very much, and over to you, Prachi.
Thanks, Sukanya madam, for empowering us with your words of wisdom. After having such a good empowering session by Shweta, Reena, Varija and Sukanya madam, I can really proudly say that let's go invent tomorrow instead of worrying about what happened yesterday. With this all, this track is over. Now we have next track. Before the next track, okay, I want to present a virtual memento to Sukanya madam. On behalf of the Dayal team, this token of appreciation for you, ma'am. Please accept.
Thank you very
much. Thanks once again for your presence and good delivery. Now we have a next session, a panel discussion on rethinking work, flexibility and engagement. I welcome